Welcome to the start of a brand new anime review series. This time I'm reviewing Monster Girl Doctor. Yep, reviewing this series. A series that actually started just this year, believe it or not. Yeah, a fairly recent one. Yeah, you're probably thinking, wait, another series? This is the second time this year I just happened to start an anime where its first episode aired just this year. The only other series this has actually happened to, this has happened roughly a few times basically where this has happened, where I started anime where I watched the very year it came out. The aired two series being like last year, it was Fire Force and Demon Slayer. Those are the two series that came out last year I watched last year. Though Doctor Stone did come out last year, I didn't watch it this year. This year it's not only this series, but also Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. That was the first one where it came out this very year, and I do a review of it. Actually, it might be the third one because it's also usually Half Name Princess. Now, this series is not airing right now. Nope, it aired just recently. It started back in July of this year, July 12th, and ended on September 27th. Now, this video I'm only discussing the first 4 episodes of the series. Now, after this video, I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I haven't read the light novel that adapts next 8 episodes. So, there's that. Now, this series, some people probably thought, a lot of people assumed, because the premise of the series that it's a spin-off of Monster Musume. It really isn't. For one thing, different time period. Monster Musume is set in modern day, while this series is set in sort of an alternate universe in a way where monsters and humans do work along side by side, but not part of some exchange program from some far off land. Yes. Now, the writer of the series is actually a big fan of Monster Musume. He actually got inspiration to do this series from watching the anime. Yes. So, some of the characters are similar to that from that series, but they're not carbon copies. Glenn is very similar to the main character, Monster Musume, except that he's not sharing a house with a bunch of girls. He's a doctor. Yes, Glenn Lebert, who is the main character of the series, he is in fact voiced by Griffin Powder. I'm never familiar with this character. Let's say his love interest slash childhood sweetheart, childhood friend, Sephi, Nika, she's voiced by the awesome and beautiful Christina V. Awesome, I get a chance to see her in another series. There's a few other characters making a debut of these episodes. You have a centaur, who's voiced by Julia McLean, who does a really good job voicing her. You have a mermaid. Now, in the case of Tassila, she made a debut in episode 1, along with Glenn and Sephi. Lola, I believe, made her debut in episode 2. Yes. She's voiced by Ryan Bartley. I think it's a woman because basically it's a woman's voice. Now, there's also, let's see. Yeah, this woman does show up in episode 3 of the series. This is Arena Tarina Arkina. She doesn't do very much in the first appearance. Yeah, she's a Spider Woman. Yeah, and she's voiced by the awesome Wendy Lee. And there's also Seki Dragafo. Here's the thing. Apparently, she doesn't speak very well. I'm not going to say who voiced her, because you'll hear her voice of it later. And there's also Kunai. Yes, a woman who was described as a flesh golem who looks similar to the zombie character from Monster Musume, except they've heard a different title. She's voiced by Lizzie Foreman. Now, there's also Lily. She made a debut in episode 4. She's by Kiara Backlund, very good voice actress. There's also Mamie Randa. She's a Cyclops. Yeah, she made a debut surprisingly in episode 1 for the series. Yeah, she doesn't do very much at all. And for some reason, they don't list off who her English dub actor is, which I thought that's kind of strange. I mean, why the heck would I do that for? Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see. Her English voice actor is, let's see. Let's see. They don't really say. Nope, they don't. Yeah, for some reason they don't really list off exactly who voices her in the English dub, but she makes debut in episode 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't do very much at all. Not really, no. There's two other people that make debut in episode 1. You have Kay Archie's one, who's basically one of the assistants of Tessia. The other one is Lorna Anton. She's voiced by Sarah Ann Williams. And that's, well, there's actually one other character makes debut in these episodes, mostly in flashback. She doesn't speak at all. It's Kathia, who is, they describe her as an octopus. Yeah, based upon her appearance. Now, the series is simply this. You have Glenn and Seffi, who work at a clinic in a city where its population is sort of a coexisting, peaceful city of humans and monsters. They explain this is happening after basically a long period of war. Why the heck they're fighting each other? Probably because it's like, oh look, monsters, kill them. And it's like, oh, humans, kill them. They don't really say exactly the reasoning for this, though. And also, they do show exactly how Glenn and Seffi first met, because if you watch the series, and if the anime did not include it, you're like, wait, how the heck these two first met? Now, they do show that here in flashback, which kudos for the anime for doing that. They met when they were children, and interesting thing when it comes to Seffi, she's actually taller than Glenn. Yes, she's taller than Glenn. Now, they don't explain her family's history until like the 4th episode, where she basically was just dropped off as a hostage for Glenn's family. They explain later on, basically, that she was part of her family, mostly her clan, are basically a group of assassins. And when Glenn mentions in episode 4, he's like, yeah, I already knew that. She's like, what? My father did research on it, so I already knew about it. Each of the episodes, he's pretty much treating somebody. In the first episode, he treats a centaur. Now, the centaur was recommended by his mentor, who works at Central Hospital. And basically, this is one of like 2 I can think of in this series, where in these 4 episodes, 2 out of the 4 monsters he treats in every episode are recommendations from his mentor. The second and 4th episode, he treats basically without a recommendation from his mentor. Yes. Now, he does it. He goes to the arena to basically treat the centaur. No, he's not the first creature he examines. The first one he examines is a cowgirl. Well, mostly put the wife of a minotaur. Yep, where it involves groping her in her breast and basically groping a little bit more else. I'm not going to go, and also groping her ears. Of course, he reveals, oh yeah, she's pregnant. Yep, she's pregnant. Oh yeah, Seffi's always jealous whenever Glenn makes a woman moan in a sexual way, because she's got a thing for him. That's pretty much the reason for it. But she doesn't want to hurt him at all because she has a thing for him. So tells the mentor, oh yeah, congratulations, your wife is basically pregnant. Hope expect a child really soon. They don't really say exactly how long a Minotaur's wife is pregnant for, but she's pregnant. And then, of course, they go up to the arena. Yes, an actual arena, where basically these are actual competitors. Now, when I think of an arena like this, I think of the gladiatory events, where basically a lot of things people are slaves, and they're there basically to basically show off a lot of blood. Not the case of this one, mind you. No, the way to describe it here, it's similar to what they did in Planet Hulk, believe it or not. And it's also actually not similar. It's actually similar to what they did in One Piece for Dressrosa, believe it or not. Yes, it's very similar premise where people can come and go as they please. And like this woman is a princess because she's the heir to a big mercenary clan. And she apparently has been on a 10-match losing streak. Yes, in the case of the gladiator stuff in One Piece, it was more like a battle royale what they were doing over the course of water. Which it seems like that the writer of One Piece, Oda, took a lot of inspiration from real-life gladiatory events. This one seems more like fight, and then apparently it seems more like this takes more inspiration from medieval style of gladiatory stuff. Basically, 1-1 combat. And she loses. She's on a 10-match losing streak. And there is a reason for that. It's because her hoofs basically are not in good shape. Basically, they require. Yeah, Glenn basically examines her, but doesn't examine her hoofs because he didn't think it was necessary. They need to think about it when he gets back to his clinic. Seth, of course, worries about him, so he ends up basically taking a small sip of regular drink, and she drinks some very high whiskey. And of course, she doesn't have a very high tolerance for alcohol. So they go examine her, and basically they apparently talked distance beforehand, hold her basically where he scrapes, like basically chips down her hoofs and puts on horseshoes on her. Yes, puts on horseshoes. Because the thing is, what he explains is that apparently, like, because the way she fights, it's not holding up her legs very well, so put on some horseshoes. Yep, some horseshoes. Now, interestingly enough, I think that this character is probably similar to the one from Matsume, who's sort of a warrior-based character. The only difference is this woman is a warrior. So, yeah, it's completely obvious that a lot of the characters are basically heavily inspired from Matsume. Now, Sephi, of course, is based on the Snake Woman. Let's basically look up her in here because it's very similar. Oh, in case you're curious, though, is there an amoeba in this series? Oh, yes, there is one. She appears briefly for I think it was like episode 3, I think it was. Yes. Now, Sephi, of course, is similar to. Let's see if I can find it here. She's similar to Mila. Yeah, very similar. She's a lemur, except she's got chalk white skin. Similar species, but not voiced by the same voice actress. Let's see. The centaur herself, she's voiced by. She's basically similar to Centaurina, where she has Thing for the main character, obviously, and she, of course, basically a centaur. Yes. Now, the amoeba in this series is not voiced by Monica Carrillo. I don't think it is. Except like Sue, who appeared for 7 episodes of Matsume. I don't know if this particular amoeba does appear for more than an episode. Yeah, she appears briefly for like one scene where she's treated by Glenn for basically getting her stabilized, and that's it. Yes. The mermaid is, well, it's kind of like they basically do have a mermaid in this series, like Matsume, except they transfer the princess aspect to the centaur, while the mermaid here is actually a bit thinner. The one in Matsume is more, her appearance is more in line with how the Little Mermaid story is basically depicted. In the case of this series, this particular mermaid, who is a younger girl, they probably take inspiration from this character from Poppy in a way, except she's not much of a birdbane like Poppy is. Simply put, what inspiration they give her is that she's skinnier, she's skinny, and she's more like a little sister type to the main character of the series. Yeah, and she appears in episode 2, and she also appears in 3 and 4. Yep. And, well, in the case of the Spider Woman, I can't much say about her because she'll appear briefly for like one appearance in episode 3, so I can't exactly talk about her very much. Yeah. So, episode 4, now pretty much in episode 2, how he meets the mermaid, how he meets Leela in that one, basically how he meets her is quite interesting. She first shows up at the start of the episode where apparently she gets out of the water and then she's spotted by Kunai. Yeah, she's spotted by Kunai and the dragon lady. They refer to her as Lady Scotty in the series, which that's referred to her in the English stuff. It's basically Skai. That's how they basically spell her name. Now, if you're curious though, is her character similar to her in that series? Well, in the case of Kunai, appearance-wise, you can say she's similar to Zombieina, except she has like doctors very much. Of course, a Cyclops, obviously. Mako. Yeah, very similar one they have for that one, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's Skadi. Dragonfelt. Yeah. They also say she's a dragon type person, this particular woman. She appears briefly in episode 2, and she's prominently featured in episodes 3 and 4. Basically, Glenn and Seffi basically are out on the waterway. Yeah, my guess is the writer must take inspiration. Not. It seems as though, because I've watched One Piece, it seems as though like the arena itself is probably a loose inspiration from Dressrosa. The waterway stuff is probably loose inspiration from Water 7. I would say it's a similar idea to it, except it's canals. And you have a creature pulling a boat, like in the case of that one. Though this one is actually pulled by mer people. Yes, a merman and a merwoman. Interesting. So yes, take inspiration from One Piece because One Piece is the big thing. So take inspiration from that. So they also use the waterways. Believe it or not, actually is a little bit in episode 3, and it's used a little bit in episode 4, but it's very prominent in episode 2. Okay, now they go to the district to get this special moisturizer for Seffi because she's a Lima, and apparently in this universe, Limas are basically like albinos, and they basically are skin very weak against the sun. Okay, also when she goes on sunlight, she wears a veil over her eye. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. It's not to hide her face, it's to hide her face from the sun, not to hide her face in the public. No, that's basically what I can tell for it. So just by sheer coincidence, they just happen to run into Leela. And basically, Glenn treats her and sees her gills are open. And oh yeah, in case you're curious though, he does in fact put his fingers inside her gills. And if you're going to ask, did he do this in the book itself? Yes. I did notice though that every single illustration from the book is used in the anime. One of those instances, aside from this, is basically Seffi when she wraps herself completely around Glenn. She does it several times in the series because she's like jealous. Yeah, she does do that to him in the pilot episode. She does it at least once an episode. In episode 2, she does it where she sort of basically, when she wraps her tail around his neck, it apparently looks like she dumps the tip of her tail inside of her tail. I'm like, what? What the heck was that? I thought that was kind of weird. That was actually when they first met Leah. Yeah, basically, like, pay 3 coppers, not what she's selling. A song. Just pay me to sing a song. Okay, interesting. She sings a song, but she can't exactly finish because she's got a cough and the fact her gills are basically open. Yeah, they explain this. The reason why that's like this is because she spends a lot of time on land. Much more than she's supposed to. Yeah, Glenn understands she's supposed to make money, but not the cost of your health. Of course, he also does a little acting episode where she basically helps out a little boy. Glenn helps save her because apparently mermaids can drown somehow. It's really weird how they explain it. And basically, in a way, Glenn gives Leah her first kiss. Yes, gives her first kiss, but helping get some oxygen in her. And looking up Seffi basically, and this is basically kind of a minor plot hole in the series, where apparently, like, did she just stretch her tail out really long to basically reach out where Glenn and Leela are? Yeah, apparently she did. Dragged them up, breakfast, perfectly fine. Very next episode basically deals more with Kunai and Lady Scotty. First, you have Lady Scotty shows up, and then, of course, Kunai shows up. Basically, she translates what Lady Scotty is saying. Apparently, she's not only her bodyguard, but she's also sort of her interpreter. It's a very similar relationship to that of Black Bolt Medusa. Because, in the case of Black Bolt, a single whisper from him can knock down an entire mountain. Or in the case of sometimes, it can destroy an entire city. But in the case of this one, basically it's a conditioner people. So Basically, she's asking Glenn to look for Kunai's arm. Kunai doesn't want to get him involved because she is like doctors very much. And then, of course, he goes out searching for her, basically, because he's worried about her. And, of course, Zephyrus takes her to the clinic. Okay, perfectly fine. And then, of course, that we have Tercer, who shows up in this very episode, mind you. She actually skips, from what I can tell, she did skip last episode. She's actually in this one. She's actually featured somewhat prominently in the next one in, like, one scene, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, like, oh, look like there's a murder? Like, call the police. No, don't worry about it. I know the person, basically, who this belongs to. And we see Kunai, who apparently she can feel what her body part is feeling. And she's like, man, who is caressing my leg? And, of course, when she got her leg chopped up by these mysterious people that was basically at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, these apparently, they refer to as bandits, even though in the very next episode, they refer to them as slavers. I have no idea why in the world they changed the name of these characters. Like, oh, first they're bandits, and now they're slavers. I'm like, what? Yes, as for the trading in, I'll explain when I talk about episode 4. It's really bizarre what they trade in. Excuse me. So, and of course, Leela's the one who finds the missing arm. Apparently, was tossed in the canal for some reason. Yeah, because it got chopped the previous night. So then, thanks to the actual arm and leg, like, hey, can you tell me where Kunai herself is? And he points to her, and then he does special surgery where he basically reattaches both limbs. He does it via not the muscles, mind you, from the actual blood vessels. Which, okay. Then she had a problem with the arm. Apparently, she was basically moaning when she went about the leg, and she would be perfectly fine. And that's that for that. Yep, and in the very next episode, simply builds something we established last episode. Yeah, going after the actual slavers. And what these people trading in? Harpies. More importantly, harpy eggs. Okay. And these are what they refer to as unfertilized eggs. They basically tease us at the end of last week's episode 3, when the spider lady basically shows up with this mysterious box. And then, of course, Seth says, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And then Glenn's like, no, that's not possible. And yeah, it's the actual egg. And they show off what Kunai basically had. And then basically something really interesting happens where the slavers attack the clinic. Look like they didn't know it was Alima there. A very powerful one. Or she basically just tail whips the guys. And then they run away. Just protect the egg and go protect themselves. Kunai basically saves them. And it's like, you offer protection? Like, no, but I'll protect you anyways. Because, well, Night Guard is basically trying to take the slavers this very night. Oh yeah, and also true that Leela basically is working with the city councilwoman. Excuse me, yeah, working with her to take the slave, well, basically do various missions here and there, and she gets paid for it. Yeah, and she says, oh yeah, if anything gets slicey and dicey, she can feel free to run away. Yeah, leave dangerous stuff to the professionals, you're basically here for transport. Yeah, you do the small scale stuff, we'll do this big scale stuff. And Glenn, of course, is very hesitant because she's basically his patient, and she just go for being sick. So he's rightfully concerned, but the way they explain it, yeah, it's perfectly fine. So they basically hurry down the river, and then they're stopped by a bunch of archers, who are actually the slavers. And then Tetsuriya shows up with her centaurs, and she takes on the leader and beats the crap out of the other guys, which I was a really cool moment. Only time we see it in the episode, surprisingly, though her line is basically, I was going to go to the clinic to talk about my patrol to you, and I found the clinic ransacked, and you guys did. She's like, how dare you ransack my future husband's clinic? I'm going to beat the crap out of you guys right now. with my jousting staff. That has the ball basically taped up, which apparently she's allowed to take out of the arena for some reason. I'm sure that belongs to the arena itself, but she's probably taken out anyways because she's basically the heir to a major fortune, though she majorly does it just to raise funds for it. Yep, and they go down to and they just come to Slavers headquarters. Oh yeah, and there's this guy comes up with Stitch on his face. No, he's not the same type of person as the Flesh Golem. Oh yeah, by the way, apparently Kunai's in the same area that Glenn is from, the Far East. And the way they describe basically of how she put together, it seems like the person put together was basically a version of Dr. Frankenstein. And his method's very crude, which, yeah, that basically describes Dr. Frankenstein. I would not be surprised if somehow that guy made an appearance in this series. Apparently, he was not only mad, not only in his techniques, but he was also insane as well, which sounds like Dr. Frankenstein. So, apparently Kunai is sort of the female version of Frankenstein, if in fact that Frankenstein was intelligent. Well, the monster anyways. Takes on the ringleader by herself. Yeah, he just happens to come out, which, okay, it almost seems like he was expecting her, and look how she just stops him. And of course, by the way, the council were just happily with them. I would think the council would not be basically dirtying her hands. That's not how politicians work. But nope, she decided to dirty her hands, and they just happen to come. And of course, they go inside, and of course, look up his men basically are being dealt with by the night patrol, and they just happen to come across the room just by sheer like the first one they go into has the harpies. And he basically treats him. Look if he's a doctor, he would treat him no problem. And of course they notice, and this was introduced to Lily for the first time, the harpy. Yep, see her, and she gets treated. Apparently, her. I'm trying to get the name of the actual people right. Let's see. It's Lula. I'm sorry about that, Lula. Lily is the actual harpy. Now, not much of her personality here because she just briefly appears in this one scene. This actually is her introduction into this series. So basically, apparently the councilwoman is also a trained warrior. Okay, interesting. So she and Sephi basically take on the slavers, formerly the bandits. And one of them gets stabbed by poison, which is simply just knocks her out. But basically, even Glenn revealed later that yeah, she was gonna die anyways because very few poisons can actually kill Lemus. Which okay, that's interesting. So basically, the harpies treated no problem. Apparently, they actually took time to not take off her shorts, but also took off her panties as well. Like okay, the way her shorts look, it looked like modern day style shorts. And the way that this world looks, it looks like sort of a mixture of like Dark Ages and a little bit of modern day. Though I'm not sure exactly if this is really set in modern day at all. Because there's no cars. Yeah. Oh yeah, basically for some guy says he was stroking her abdomen, why the heck would he take off her friggin' shorts and panties? Makes no sense, right? Of course, the egg itself was removed, and she's able to basically be able to have more eggs, no problem. And of course, Sephi reveals about the whole thing about her family being assassins, and that's when Glenn reveals, oh yeah, I already knew about it. And then looks like they're about to basically do it, basically Lima style. It's like, no, we can't exactly do this one more because the doctor kicked us out. Well, last time I checked, you two run your own clinic. You're not students anymore. And you two probably have had a thing for each other since you were kids. So, don't care exactly what your mentor thinks about this relationship. I'm sure she wouldn't mind it at all, especially... I'm sure she probably basically really wants Glenn for herself because even though Sephi wants him. And of course she's able to calm down thanks to the poison is still in their body that's not taking full effect out. And that's the 4 episodes, mind you. I gotta say, really good start to this series, and I can't wait to watch the next 8 episodes, but gonna wait until I have to read the next couple books. Well, I'm reading book 2, and then watch episodes 5 through 8. Yep, so that's it for this particular review. Next view is the Comic Corner discussing 2 Batman trades. Okay, see you next video. Bye.